Guys, welcome back. What's the year? 2024. This is the first episode back. I had a long break. Did not that much work. Kind of feeling like a schmuck. But we're back and we're talking about men's hair. And trust me, that's something that I've struggled with a lot in my life. I've had a hair transplant. I was in a little bit of denial, which we'll talk about on the podcast today. But if you're listening to this and you're just not really sure what you should do with your hair, if you might be thinning, if you've got long hair and you're rocking the man bun and you're not really sure about your facial hair, or any and all questions related to hair, if you're not sporting like an amazing hair game, you're leaving a lot on the table when it comes to dating. So we have an amazing guest. That is Chris Fulton. He is an Emmy award-winning hairstylist for multiple stars. We've been buddies now for it's been a few months.
Yeah, it's been a few months.
And I was over at his place the other day and we were like, oh, that's a cool looking statue there. Oh, what's that? He's like,
what's that statue?
Oh, that's an Emmy award. Oh, that's a Guild award there too. So
low key flex.
You're listening to the Inner Confidence Podcast, formerly called the Leverage Podcast. We help you unleash the most attractive, charismatic, and confident you in order to attract quality connections, both personal and romantic. My name is Robbie Kramer. I've been a coach since 2007, and I've helped over 1,300 people level up their dating and social skills. My mission is simple: to help you crush the dating game, build an epic social life, and attract your ideal partner.
When it comes to hair, we have one of the foremost experts in the world. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear, everything about hair. Because, obviously I hear little bits and pieces about, all your experience in that. And your hair looks amazing.
Thank you.
I'm lucky enough to be the son of a dermatologist. So I realized I was losing my hair. It was like, I think I was a sophomore in college, 20, 21 years old, when actually one of the ladies who worked in his office said, oh, looks like Robbie's thinning a little bit. And so he got me on Rogaine, he got me on finasteride.
Now, did that traumatize you when they told you that? Were you traumatized?
I was. Yeah. I was like, I'm 21 years old. Like, this is ridiculous. But my grandfather was bald by the age of 17. Mm-hmm. My dad was also losing his hair quite a bit. And you hear all the stuff like, oh, it comes from the paternal
the mom's
side,
paternal side, your mom's side,
which my dad debunked. He's like, no, that's not the case.
No, it doesn't work like that.
But yeah, so I found myself lucky enough to be, surrounded with people that had answers for me.
Right.
So we'll get into my journey, but first, how did you become, a award-winning hairstylist? What had you? What's your story?
My whole story started at a beauty salon in Kansas when I was a kid. I used to go with my grandmother every Saturday and listen to the women gossip and smoke and drink, and the smell of perm solution and the rollers. I knew from the moment I was a little boy that I wanted to do this because, it's like doing hair. People just think it's about the way you look, but the person who does your hair, it's such an intimate,
it's like therapy.
Yes. No, it's like you're literally a therapist. I mean, I have to tell you, with what I do, now I work mainly with celebrities and I work, in television and movies, but it's still the same thing. If someone's having a bad day, if someone's having relationship problems, if someone's having, God only knows what, and they don't feel good about the way they look, or it makes people hypersensitive about the way that they look. And so everything that tends to be for men and women,
right?
It's so funny. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of times it's the men that are the most sensitive about their hair.
Oh, well, yeah.
And the most when it comes to intricacy and the process, they want to see that the process and that them.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I think that
men are more particular.
Men are definitely more particular.
Wow.
The male stars that I've worked with, and even in the real world, I have some clients that I do, men hair is so closely tied to your masculinity, to your success, to your the way that they look at your financial success. I mean, if you have a really great, dope haircut, people look at you in a different way.
They do.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like a good watch or a good pair of shoes, you know?
I mean, when I always took a lot of pride in my hair.
Yeah.
Even from the age I was, 14, 15, I remember getting I had the wave.
Yeah.
And I would it looked better after 3 days of not showering.
Right. Everyone's not there. And everyone has their process.
Right?
People have that one product that this is the only thing that works. And it's like, I have scoured. I mean, working in my business,
I shower more than every 3 days now, just to go on the record to say that. But
I have people, you'd be surprised too, will go for a week just to get that perfect, gritty look.
Right.
But I have to say, I have scoured. I've had to make emergency phone calls to Europe to get hair products because that's the one product that they can't live without.
Well, I used to use the Topic keratin fiber.
The fibers,
because I was very thin up here. Like I mentioned, I had a hair transplant, but you can still see. It's like you can see even here it's still thin because they did 3,000 grafts, and this was 3 years ago. I did it in Kyiv, Ukraine, but I was with a Turkish doctor.
Yes.
I've been to Istanbul a few times, and when you go there, all you see are guys wearing the headbands, walking around.
See on the plane, it's like to see him the wrapped heads.
Totally.
Yeah, no, totally.
And
yours looks amazing. Yours looks so natural.
Thanks.
No.
Yeah, well, I was lucky because my hairline was good. I mean, they filled it in and made it even better. But I was only thinning on the top. But for a long time, I mean, I would not go in swimming pools. Anytime I was with a girl, I was always self-conscious that the dust would fall out on the pillow.
God, don't let her touch your hair.
Exactly, don't touch
God forbid. And she comes off with the black hand marks on the pillowcase.
Totally.
Yeah.
And, if I ran out of that keratin stuff, I was fucked.
Yeah.
So, dude.
I mean, it's funny because we use, in movies and TV, we shoot in so many different locations that we actually have permanent stuff that we use, that's waterproof. So God forbid someone's out in the rain, or we have, we're in a weird location or something. We have waterproof alcohol-based stuff that we actually use to fill in their hair.
Crazy. Oh, I've heard of even tattooing and stuff.
Oh, a lot of people tattoo their hairlines. They tattoo. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So you're a little kid, you're hanging out with your grandma.
Little kid. Yeah.
And you were just kind of drawn to the energy and the dynamic around. It's funny. I actually hung out a lot with my mom at the salon. She would just drag me there. And I kind of had a similar experience, and she's such a talker. She would speak to, the hairstylist for, I felt it was hours and hours. I felt like she was there. And then she had the big, mask, the space mask and space.
Oh yeah, the hood, the dryer that would go over. Yeah,
and I'd hang out with my grandmother too, and she'd go to the beauty salon.
My grandmother with the hooded dryer smoking, inside.
It's such an amazing mental image.
Amazing.
So how did you go from? So you were first job out of school, hairstyling. What was your?
Yeah, you know what? I when I was 18, I left Kansas as soon as I possibly could. I worked in a salon in Kansas.
Okay. Kansas City or in the boondocks somewhere?
Kind of suburbs of Kansas City, outside of Kansas City. So I worked in a salon and really got a lot of, my base there, and just knew that's what I was going to do. And when I was 18, I moved to New York, kind of, without any money, but I knew what I wanted to do. And I knew I wanted to work in fashion. And I knew I used to, back in the day, when they did the New York Fashion Week, they had these big tents in Bryant Park, and I would go to the tent. Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I would go to the tents, and I would wander around, and I would look at all the people that were going in and out of the tents, and eventually, I got my way into the tents and started working in fashion and started building that building that world for me. It was it was kind of manifesting in a way.
Interesting.
There was just.
You just muscled your way in somehow. I'm sure there was a lot more to the story.
Well, you know what? It's so funny because so many people ask me that are up and coming about how do I do it? And I think this goes for many different professions, especially creative professions. People ask me, they're like, what's the secret? How do you do it? And I always tell people, I'm like, if you have this thing inside of you that it literally makes you sick, that you can't do this thing, then that's what you should do.
Yeah.
Like you should go for that thing and like, don't stop. You know,
that.
I think it's so trite to say, don't ever stop, you know, but that was it for me. Like
if you have this burning passion, I've had it twice in my life. I had it for golf and, you know, I became almost a professional in college, got, you know, a scholarship to play and I wasn't quite good enough. Right. Then at the same time, my focus completely shifted to girls. Right. And I realized that there was this whole like personal growth, I don't know, journey I could go on and became obsessed. And I've been doing that ever since. And now, now I'm married, so I'm back to golf, but
you're still helping other people. Like you're taking that, you know, helping other people do it.
Yeah. You know, this is episode, I think it'll be 260 of this podcast.
That's incredible.
So
good for you.
Thanks, man. No, it's been, and I'm still like super passionate about it, you know?
Yeah.
And but I've never felt like I really work.
Right.
You know, that, and I think that's what you're kind of getting at too. It's like you have this passion, this burning desire. You can't not do it.
I can't not do it. Like I can't not be a part of it. And to this day, I still haven't lost that thing. Like with me, you know, and it's just, there's just no complacency there. You know what I mean? I have to be in it. And I still have to, I've never lost that thing, that drive of having to be in it.
Yeah. Even though you made it to the very top of the top.
You know what? I don't even think that there's a top. I think that, you know, everyone's a challenge.
Right.
And the things that scare me the most are the things that I really run after. You know, every time I start a job, every time I start a show, every time, you know, I start a movie, you know, you literally walk in there with papers and pages and you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. And then you meet these famous people who are actors and they have their ideas and directors have their ideas and producers have their ideas. And then I'm supposed to have my ideas. And so it's like a full on conversation puzzle so that everyone gets heard, you know?
And that's happening before the pilot.
Oh yeah, that's happening before, or if you're doing a movie, that's happening day one. It happens for the first, I'd say it happens continuously.
Right.
You know, through the whole show.
And I'm sure you're working very closely with like the costume designer.
Oh yeah.
And
totally.
It's gotta be, right.
I think that's the biggest thing for me is because I was so in love with fashion and so obsessed with fashion that working with the costume designer, it's kind of always been my greatest thing because I get so obsessed with the clothes and the look and the collaboration of everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Puzzle pieces fitting together.
It's the collab for me that just never fails to like really excite me.
So let's say, well, first let's actually touch on what you mentioned earlier about the shame and the denial that guys have. So I was lucky enough when I started losing my hair, I actually didn't notice, you know, like I mentioned, someone in my dad's office noticed.
Told
me, right? But I've worked with so many clients who are like clinging to that comb over, the one little hair, the one, you know, and I, you know, I feel like the Grim Reaper telling them, dude, you got to shave your head.
Yeah.
And they do not want to hear that a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Or they're like, no, like I want to do this or I want to do that. And like, they won't use the powder or they won't shave their head. So like, let's talk about that. Cause I'm sure you have a ton of experience with.
So much experience with that. Yeah. And that's like one of the trickiest parts of, you know, my job, especially dealing with, you know, male actors or even men in general. And I think that's the greatest downfall. I think that denial, you know, men's hair, it's so tied to this idea of masculinity and who you are and, you know, who you are as a man, who you are, do you measure up? You know what I mean? It's like, it's a whole thing. I mean, it is for me too. You know, I certainly don't want to lose my hair. And when I started to lose my hair, I started to notice that it was going. I just got really proactive and I was like, okay, what are we going to do to fix this?
Right.
And so unfortunately, the biggest mistake that I see is people get kind of tied to that denial, and then they say, oh, I'll fix it later. I'll fix it later.
Right.
But then later comes and it's too late, because there's a point where the filler and the powder and all of that like becomes
Right.
obsolete.
Yeah.
Like when you're
I sported it as long as I could.
people do.
And then I got the transplant.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't have gone much longer
Right.
because it was just, but I had clients that would come in and they'd be, past the point where the fibers would work, and I would still do it, and we'd put some Instagram photos up.
Yeah.
Fake the funk.
Yeah.
But
But I think it's really important for people to know, like, your look, your hair, it's really about your vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what's your vibe? And I think that, like, being honest about your vibe and being honest about who you are, is, I think once you embrace that about yourself, like, you know what? I'm losing my hair. Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna shave my head. I'm gonna whatever I have to do, being honest and accepting kind of what's happening, I think it elevates you.
I heard a quote a while back. I think it was from Neil Strauss, and he said, "Balding is not a choice. Bald is a choice."
Right.
And you can rock bald. How many amazing sex icons are bald dudes, like Vin
How
Diesel.
many fucking people want to fuck The Rock?
Exactly.
So many people want to fuck The Rock.
Right. And
Vin Diesel.
And the funny thing is, the more testosterone you have, the faster you lose your hair.
After you lose your hair. It's really God's like fucking laughing at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah.
The funny thing was, when I had never seen myself bald until the day I went in for a hair transplant.
Oh, wow.
They shaved.
Sure.
And I didn't look that bad. I was like, well, if this thing doesn't work out, I can just be bald.
Yeah.
And I always thought like, oh, I'm going to have a weird shaped head because I got the big Jew nose and,
Right.
But I didn't look bad at all. So
it's fear-based.
Yeah.
Real quick, so I'm excited that you're here listening to the podcast, but if you're someone who's more of a visual learner, like I am, and you'd benefit from seeing what you're hearing instead of just listening, then I invite you to go over and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm back to publishing videos there every week, and some of the lessons can't be found here in the audio feed because, well, you need to see them in order to learn. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the Robbie Kramer YouTube channel via the link in the show notes, and you'll get more tips, tutorials, lessons, and for better or worse, more of my face. All right. Hope to see you over on YouTube. Now let's get back to the show.
I think that the moment that I know for me, and it's been a journey just for myself and the way that I look at my hair and my whatever. But the minute that I start to accept those things about myself and like, you know what, this is who I am. You know what I mean? Like, here we go. Like, it's never going to be perfect. Never going to be big enough, never going to be thin enough, never going to be, you know what I mean? And it's like, I think that the moment that you are able to step into, okay, this is who I am, people just automatically are drawn to you. Don't you find that?
Oh, totally.
With your clients?
If you can be authentic and vulnerable and just own it.
It's the authenticity and vulnerability. I have never had the experience of someone who is losing their hair, chooses to shave their head, and anyone said, you look like a fucking asshole.
Never.
Or you look like a fucking uncircumcised dick right now. You know what I mean? Like, I've never seen that happen.
No one is ever going to tell a guy who shaves his head, like, what, are you bald? Right?
No, exactly. But it's like when you walk around and you have the two hairs that are stuck to your forehead and and like nothing, and you got nothing else going on back here. You're tied to something that's not authentic. You're tied to a piece of your past. You're tied to the way you wish you could be, the way that and there's no shame in getting a hair transplant.
Yeah.
Like, if that's your journey, go do that.
$2,500. Istanbul. They'll even pay for your flights.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I know people that have gone through that journey and decided not to get the hair transplant, and they're super happy too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think, like we were talking about earlier, I think, as soon as you stop with the denial piece of it and you say, okay, this is what's going on. You know what I mean? This is what's happening. It's like if you gain weight. Okay, so I've gained some weight. Like, I'm losing my hair. Well, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Am I going to face it? Am I going to accept it? Am I going to choose to believe that this doesn't mean anything about me? Like, what meaning am I putting on this?
Mm-hmm.
And are you going to be proactive? And like, I started Rogaine, I started Nioxin, and I started finasteride, really early on. And it's been super successful for me.
Yeah, your hair looks great. So you've never had...
No, I've never had a transplant. And I still, like, I have, my things. And, I have a relationship with my barber that, I tell them, guide them how to like hide they know my secret places.
So you don't do your own?
No.
Can't do it?
No, I don't do my, I'm way too picky. I'm too hard on myself.
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't do my own hair. But, I think that the minute you accept it and the minute that you say, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to own this, I'm going to change this, it's kind of like with life. The minute that you step into that acceptance, I think you begin to change shit.
Yeah.
Major way.
Yeah. It's, I love that, I don't know, analogy or metaphor, but the idea that if you just own who you are instead of trying to hide it, because literally what you're doing when you have that, like you're trying to cover it up and you're failing at it. Like if you're going to cover it, at least cover it, right?
Right. Cover it.
If
you're going to do a wig, like you own the wig.
Own the wig. The funniest thing.
You are a man that wears a wig.
I've never gotten more love and attention from women in my entire life than when I was 27 years old. I walked into a bar in Pacific Beach wearing a mullet wig.
A mullet
wig. Like, I was drunk, I was feeling good, and I was rocking that mullet. Every girl in the bar, it was my energy, but plus the mullet. Like, they were just like, I coming up to me. Yeah. So there you have it, guys. Mullet wig, you can turn on.
Wait, but was it the mullet, or was it the fact that you walked in with that confidence with the mullet, owned that fucking ridiculous hairdo for anyone that's out there thinking I need to get a mullet so I can get chicks? Was it the fact that you own that and you were rocking that, or was it the mullet?
No, it was 100% my vibe.
Yes.
Yeah. I was just...
It's vibe.
It was like I was a character. I was no longer Robbie. I was this other cooler guy.
Totally.
That's rocking the mullet.
Yeah.
And...
but see, that's the secret.
Yeah.
Right? Because you walk in with, I think... historically one of the most ridiculous hairstyles ever. Right, the worst. And I don't even know if you did it before it was like Gen X cool, like ironic.
This was in 2006.
Okay, so no. Yeah. So it wasn't, you were being ironic and like cool. You just had a mullet wig.
Yeah. I think maybe it was borderline ironic, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I definitely had some girls come up and be like, I love your mullet. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
because he's so confident that he can rock that fucking hairstyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you, you know what? The minute that it's like I said earlier, it's like, your watch, your shoes, your haircut, your whatever it is, like that makes you authentically you and feel like a motherfucking badass in the morning. Like, for me, like, with my hair, because it's a thing, I do hair and I pay attention to it. Like, I like my fade a certain way.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because it's like fades are in.
Yeah.
My I've got the fade.
Right.
It could be a little shorter.
Yeah.
How often, like if I get my hair cut every 2 or 3 weeks and the fade stays pretty good.
Yeah, I like mine to stay right. So about 3 weeks.
3 weeks is what you do?
Is what I do.
Okay.
Yeah. And when it starts to like, I'm like right on the edge now, but when mine starts to go, I don't feel so great about myself. So I go, and it does, I think finding that thing with your barber or your hairstylist, if you go to a hairstylist, finding that thing that just really works with your face shape, that works with and some guys don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Some guys, like you said, rock the man bun and they rock the long hair.
Right.
It's messy and it's whatever, but that's their vibe. That's the vibe they own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about, well, let's talk about different, I guess, archetypes of guys and what they can do. Right.
Okay.
So obviously, if you're balding, I feel like we've, covered that.
I think we've covered. If you're balding, shave your fucking head, I think. own it.
Own it. Get a hair transplant.
Go to hair transplant. Go to Turkey.
Yeah.
Be one of many on the plane.
So what about if you're a guy with like a Jufro, big curly hair, doesn't really look great, just as is, but it's like, like the Borat. What does that guy do?
But see, like that guy again, it's like, okay, so does that fit I see a lot of guys that rock that hairstyle that have the dress that matches.
Yeah.
And that's their vibe. You know what I mean? If that's your hair. If it doesn't work for you, find someone that you trust. Like we said earlier, your hairstylist is like your therapist, your confidant. You can go in there and you can say, listen, I'm feeling insecure about something up here. Can you just pay attention to that for me?
Yeah.
Or listen to,
here's a good, how would you recommend choosing a hairstylist and choosing, a barber shop? Because I feel like most guys, because this is what I used to do. I used to just be like, all right, where's the nearest Supercuts?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get the cheapest do here, and that's not what I would recommend anymore.
I would not recommend that.
Yeah.
I just would not. Well, I think it's so great because Instagram is everything. So you can check out their work, go meet them, go see if you guys vibe, if you have a conversation, if they're listening to you.
So start on Instagram. Search for what do you search for? Hairstylist, barber, like
go to a barber shop, look at your local barber shops wherever you are. We're in Los Angeles, so there's a million.
Yeah.
That's how I found my hairstylist. I found a barber shop and I just looked at their Instagram page. I saw their work. I liked their work, went in, met them, got kind of a pretty innocuous haircut to see if we vibed, to see if they listened to me and they're paying attention to me. And they did. And I've been with that person for years, Nice. I think it's about who listens to you and who's willing to understand you and who's willing to take you on that journey, because then you trust them.
Yeah.
So if you walk in with the Jufro and it's just not working for you and your hairstylist who you trust says, you know what, why don't we try something different?
Right.
Then you trust them.
Yeah.
To take you on that journey.
Yeah. When I originally switched from my wave to the faux hawk.
Oh, yeah. The faux hawk.
I had a big old faux hawk that girls used to call me Party Parrot. And the thinner my hair got, the more pointy the faux hawk got.
It got skinnier. Did it get skinnier?
It got terribly skinny. And because that was the only way I could style it.
Yeah.
Not look bald.
Right.
And eventually, but the whole way I kind of ended up with the faux hawk was, I think I just went to a barber and he was like, you should try this. And I was just like, okay, I trust you.
Right.
Do it. And I was so happy with it. And, then, I rocked that for the next 15 years or so. And, now I have enough. So I do the lesser faux hawk.
You do a more modern, successful version of a faux hawk.
Yeah.
But also the thing about it too is, thank God with men's hair is a double-edged sword because it's short enough to where if there's a mistake, you're going to see the mistake. But the good news is if you go in and get a fucked up haircut, that it's going to grow out in 2 weeks and you're going to be okay.
Don't do bad.
Again, it's I think you got to know who you are.
Which is why you should take a risk, and try something new because it's 2 weeks of wearing a hat or just not giving a shit and owning it. And then you're good.
When it grows out, you may love it.
Yeah.
You may whatever. But I think, again, the more that you walk in and kind of know who you are and know what you can always tell. You can always tell someone who's walking around wearing someone else's hairstyle. You know what I mean?
Just feel
you can see it.
Right.
You're like,
just looks kind
that just doesn't, you're trying to do something that you saw that you thought would work for you.
Right.
But it's not really work.
With fashion too, right?
Yeah, with fashion too. Oh, completely.
Yeah.
I mean, how often
is that what they call posers?
Yep. We are back to 2004 right now.
Fucking poser.
He's a poser. We're back to the early 2000s right now.
That's where most of my humor.
Yeah. But you're the perfect person to say that. When you see a guy who comes to you for advice on his dating and women and whatever. I mean, instantly, is that one of the things that you look at?
Oh, the first thing.
Yeah.
I look at their fashion. I look at their grooming. I call it looks maxing.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, I love that term.
It's like
Looks maxing.
looks maxing.
I'm going to start using that.
It's great.
Let's looks max you.
Let's max you out.
Max you out.
Because
maxed.
why not? Right?
Yeah.
It's like you can change that shit within, I mean, if you're fat, 2 or 3 months,
Sure.
depending on how fat you are.
Yes.
But like you can, and then the rest of the stuff, like get a haircut, get your teeth whitened, get a tan.
Right.
Like do your beard. Like,
Right.
You can
Take a
change that
risk.
You can change this shit overnight.
Yes.
And you can go from like, you can add like 3 or 4 points on the 1 to 10 scale.
Can easily become a 7.
Easy.
Yeah.
Right? If
7 is attainable.
if you're the ugliest dude in the world, like Tommy Lee Jones, I feel like is a pretty good example. He's like, he doesn't have the best looking face.
No,
But-
but he's got swagger.
He's so hot, right? Because
so
he's
hot.
he's so masculine.
Yeah.
And if that guy can be a sex symbol, anybody can, right?
But it's like Harrison Ford.
Right.
I mean, look at Harrison Ford. He's 1,000 years old right now. He's still, women want to fuck him. You know what I mean? He's got the earring,
Right.
and he's got the like hair that he's had forever.
Uh-huh.
But like that's his thing. That's
Yeah.
his vibe.
Right.
So I think again, God, I keep coming back to this like authenticity thing, but I think that it's just so like, I think you take a risk, and the risk is that you possibly discover, oh shit, this is who I am.
Right. Now, what if you don't know what risk to take?
Ooh. I think if you don't know what risk to take, you mean with hair?
Just with your style, because like my advice to the guys in the community is always like you should be pushing the edge enough to where you're you feel like you're growing in that area,
Right.
You should be like with fashion, for example, you should push your boundaries until like you should get a piece and feel a little bit silly in it, until you can own it and see like, all right, is this for me or not?
Right.
Because in the beginning you're gonna feel weird in anything that's not like gym clothes if you're like totally clueless.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like first you're trying this, you're trying that, and then eventually you're like, oh, I actually have a style, I have a sense of it, but it requires that stepping out of your comfort zone.
Willing to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because people think that, in TV and movies, people think that people just come in and this is their look. You don't know. Like we go through tests and tests and trials.
And the actors are like, I don't like this.
I don't like this. The producer doesn't like it. The director doesn't like it. It's not working. I can't tell you how many times and people have. It's so funny because there are so many actors in Los Angeles that want to make it, want to be a part of it. But what they don't understand is there are so many factors to getting that role that nobody sees.
Like what?
So this is like kind of, I think this is fascinating. So, So the producer or director or creator will get all of the tests, the screen tests that the actors send in. They all look and they all agree, okay, we like these 4 people. Okay. So they pick the 4 people. Then the 4 people, unless they have someone they're like, this is the guy. This is my guy. But I rarely see that happen. So then they take the 4 people and they send the 4 people to the costume designer and they say, do you have clothes that fit him? And then they send it to the hair people and they say, we need to make this guy look cool, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What can you do with him? Like, can you make it work?
Right.
And can you do it with his hair, or do we have to have a wig made, or what's in the budget? And I can't tell you how many times it's come down to, we love him, he's the best, but his hair's not long enough for the part, and we're not spending $10,000 to make a wig for him. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, if all things are equal.
Right, but I think people don't understand that there's so many behind-the-scenes factors to that world that nobody would ever know.
That's great.
And I can't tell you how many times we have, like, really shifted hell itself to do something for these guys, to make like, oh my God, do I have a wig? Do I have a thing? Can we cut your hair? Can we dye your hair? Can we whatever to get them the role?
That's
So much happens behind the scenes that nobody sees before. And sometimes things are accidents.
Yeah.
A lot of times things are accidents.
You know, I always find it brave of some actors who, you know, they'll have to like shave their head for a certain role.
Oh, yeah.
Or I was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm the other day, and
Love Larry David.
yeah, Jeff, you know Jeff,
Yes.
right? And on one episode, I think it's season 8 or season 9, I don't know, something happens. He ends, and the barber like shaves his head on accident.
Right.
You know, the guy's like pissed off because Larry says some racial slur.
Right.
And then he shaves his head. You know, Susie, his wife, is like, you like
Oh my God. And I fucking love her. She's the best.
the best, you know? And he did look, I mean, he's already fat and gross.
Right.
And
And now he's bald.
awful.
Now
And
it's giving Predator. It's giving. But it's giving To Catch a Predator.
and I'm like, you know, that guy's got some serious balls.
Give
They're
her
like,
candy in a white band.
yes. Poor Jeff.
Chuck a part of it, a white band.
100%. But you know, I'm like, got a hand to that guy. He was, you know, he owned it.
When I won the Emmy, I won it for this period show about Bob Fosse, the famous choreographer, and Fosse had a famous comb over.
Mhm.
So Sam Rockwell, the actor who played Fosse, had me shave his head every single day
Really?
for the part.
Let's pull that up.
Yeah, pull it up.
Need to see that.
And then I had a wig made of tiny hair pieces.
So what should I?
So do Sam Rockwell,
Mhm.
Bob Fosse.
Right, like this one.
Yeah.
Me.
Let's see. And you'll see, it's so funny because this is the stuff that we're talking about. There we go. This was,
So let's see his original hair.
so Sam's original hair?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's going to be on here. These are all the,
Maybe.
oh yeah, this is him. Yeah. Should I click this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's his original hair
Okay.
that he, as Sam Rockwell. And then every morning he would come in and I would shave his head and I would attach
Oh wow.
one wig. So this was one wig
Mm-hmm.
that I created as a comb over. This was another mini wig that I would lay down.
That little thing.
That little tuft.
Oh my God.
That's a $5,000 tuft.
Get out of here.
I swear to God. And then this was another mini piece because Fosse was like some of our gentlemen out there clinging to that very last hair.
Fuck, how did I go back to that?
But see, look at Sam Rockwell bald. Like,
Yeah.
that was him in an interview. And he looks like
Yeah, he looks like a
he
gangster.
looks fucking amazing.
And
right?
then when he's got that little tuft,
Yeah.
right? So what, this is multiple weeks?
That's that's 2 wigs right there.
Where do they, how do you even get that on the head?
You glue it.
You glue it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you glue it down.
Wow. So this is a wig.
That's
Then
a wig.
There's 2
And
more.
then there's 2 wigs there
Wow.
to create that famous comb over.
And there are,
Awesome.
I know a guy, I play golf with a guy who has something similar.
Who has that
And
thing?
he's clinging to it.
People cling to it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I'm not balding.
But you know what? It's like, I don't want to be unkind, but it's so ridiculous. You like shave it off.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. Don't you think?
I mean,
Like, what are you holding
would
on
take
to?
it's one stroke of the razor.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Like, what are they making that mean?
You know, it's funny because the same guy,
To know this.
here's the interesting part. The same guy who won't shave his Bob Fosse, if we can say that.
Yeah.
He refuses to take any advice when it comes to his dating life. And this is a successful guy. He's very wealthy. He's cool. He played college sports. He was like
Right.
a kicker.
Right.
And he's got good social skills, good charisma.
Right.
But when it comes to fashion and style, he just he dresses like a frat boy
Right.
almost. And he refuses to, I don't know, to like do anything about it. And
Yet
he's always
a dating coach.
he doesn't. We're just buddies.
Oh, you're buddies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's never really like
How does he do with the ladies?
so bad compared to how he could do,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's not just me, like it's my other buddy who is also a dating coach who's way more aggressive than I am.
Right.
Like telling him like, dude, what the fuck? Like, let me take you shopping.
Yeah.
Let's get you a haircut.
Right.
And I don't know. He just won't do it. And it's strange. There's some guys that just have that resistance. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess you're never going to, like, you know, with some people, you know, you got to want to change.
Yeah.
You got to want to make a difference.
Yeah.
I think. You know, I'm always up for something different. I'm always up for something new.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why not?
Why not?
Because then you continue to grow and you grow in so many other places.
Just like anything, like anytime you push your comfort zone, I feel like, you know, you're growing as a person.
Yeah.
You're becoming a little bit more authentic,
Yeah.
a little bit, you know, it's like just a better experience of life and who you can meet. And like people are drawn to you based on that authenticity. So,
Exactly. And vulnerability.
vulnerability. Yeah. That's the tough part for guys. It's like showing the vulnerability while still being masculine.
Right.
Because especially in our society, because any sort of vulnerability can look, you know, feminine or whatever. Or
Who decided that?
I don't know. I think it was
Who is they?
when
I
I
know
was
that question. They say.
They say.
Who is they?
Who are they?
We'd like to know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't like when I was growing up, like, you know, 9, 10, 11, 12, like it was like boys don't cry,
Yeah.
right? That's
Don't ever let them see you cry.
Don't let them see your emotion, that sort of thing.
Ooh.
But
And you know what? That fucks you up so badly in relationships.
totally.
Like, because you create walls and then you don't authentically meet the person that, you know, you're supposed to meet. Like really, I spent years of therapy trying to undo, don't let them see you cry and all of that. Like, and what are the neighbors going to think? Like, thank you, you know, mom and dad.
Well, at least you had the, you know, confidence or the, I don't know what you call it, chutzpah to get therapy in the first place.
Oh my God.
Most guys won't even go for that.
Oh, well, you know, like when your fucking car is broken down and not running and it's not like, it's time to, you know, time to get like, my friend used to say, the horse is dead, dismount.
I always talk about with my clients when they're texting that girl like 8 times, like you're beating a dead horse.
The horse is dead, dismount.
Get off.
Get off the horse.
So I have one more line of questioning.
Okay.
And that's about beards, facial hair, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Is that your area of expertise?
Sure.
Or it's all, you know.
Yeah, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
I think it's all about your look. I think it's about your face shape.
Right.
You know, like I look better with some stubble, you know.
I think most guys do.
I think a lot of guys
Here's
do.
the funny thing. There was a debate in my group recently. One of the guys, he's 60 years old, and this guy is like I'm blanking on the name of the Playboy. Hugh Hefner.
Hugh Hefner.
He's
okay.
crushing young 20-year-old, like,
Wow.
yeah.
And is he old? Like, is he Hugh Hefner aged?
He's
Like,
60.
He's in his 60s.
He looks amazing.
Okay.
He looks amazing. He looks like he's 20 years younger.
Okay.
Tan, 6-pack.
Yeah.
Full head of hair.
Yeah.
You know, he's fully shaved. And he was trying to convince us that Gen Z girls don't like beards.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I don't buy it.
No.
And the reason why I don't buy it is because, first of all, when you have a beard, you're going to look more masculine.
Sure.
That's like, you know, there's no denying that.
No.
And if you don't have a strong jawline or a weak chin or whatever, the beard's going to help out a lot.
And if you don't, you should have a beard.
Exactly.
Like if you have a jawline.
Like my jawline's not great. If I didn't have like, I've got volume here.
Right.
When you know, I think we came over for dinner the other night and Maria was bitching about my short, you know, beard length because I went to get a haircut and he shaved a little bit shorter. And she was like, you know, your chin looks weak. You look like an idiot. Like she's not shy, but you know, I
mean, I have to say I color my beard too.
Do you?
Oh yeah. I take out just because like my hair has a lot of gray in it. I'm super comfortable with that. I like the way that looks. I'm totally like, I don't dye my hair.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, men, there's this great product called Camo Color that you can buy that it's like a rinse-in color that if you do want to dye your hair and you are feeling a little self-conscious about your gray, you can do that. But like my hair doesn't bother me, but like once my beard starts to get too white, it's giving a little too grandpa for me.
Too silver fox.
Too silver fox. Too Charlton Heston.
Yes. Too distinguished.
Too distinguished. I don't need to be that distinguished.
Well, it looks great. It kind of looks like it's, part blonde almost.
Yeah, it's just, I like it to look super natural. I don't want it to look drawn on or anything.
Right.
But I take a little bit of the white out.
Matches really well with
top. And you know what? It's like, and nobody probably notices, but it makes me feel really good. It makes me feel really confident.
And you have a very good line here. Like your hair grows. So my problem is I kind of get like the chin strappy. Like I don't grow it here as much. So and then sometimes I'll go in for a haircut and, especially when I was in Mexico, I was living in Mexico for 6 months and the guy was like, cut it really short. Look like the old sense of style there. I go,
you needed a rose and a guitar.
So, I've been trying to put, some Rogaine
to grow that in.
Yeah. And that's working.
Well, I am super Italian. So my beard grows all the way up here.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So I have to like
really.
I have to kind of way down.
Full caveman. My eyebrows get super long. The ear hair thing. I mean, like it's the curse of being Italian. But so I groom this and then I groom this generally to kind of square my jaw off. I always try to get a good line here.
Yeah.
I feel like that it just makes it look clean.
Yeah.
I
think you should look clean. I mean, it depends on your what you're doing, but
I mean the fresh haircut every 2 or 3 weeks, like that makes such a big difference, I feel like.
Of course.
Yeah. And
don't you feel like a fucking icon?
Oh yeah.
After a brand new haircut?
New haircut, new shoes.
Yes.
Right? New white shoes.
Who can tell you something? Who can tell you shit when you got a brand new fucking haircut, new shoes?
Yeah.
Like
that Jersey, remember that old YouTube video? Me and my boys, we all got a new haircut.
Talking about going back to super Italian.
Beginning of YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like, I think like it goes back to like that thing of like, what makes you feel good? Like what makes you feel good about yourself? You know what I mean? Like, and why not treat yourself well?
Yeah.
Like, why not treat yourself to that haircut every 3 weeks? And you don't have to go to the most expensive hairdresser or the most, or, trimming your beard and shaping your beard up and, from buying a new pair of shoes or polishing your shoes or shining your shoes, anything that makes you feel like, I'm really winning at this.
Totally.
I think you're just going to give off that energy and it's just going to draw people to you, don't you?
Just like with the mullet.
Just like with a wig.
Totally.
And if all else fails, buy a fucking wig.
No, I mean, that's it. Yeah. Like if you feel like $1 million, people are going to treat you like
totally.
That. And if you feel like, oh shit, I haven't got my haircut, my beard looks like shit, I'm just going to go out. Oh fuck, like you're going to bring that energy out. And people are going to they're going to feel that. Like energy is contagious.
Yeah.
As they're contagious.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. Yeah. I know. And I think how you decide to present yourself in the world is how people are going to accept you into the world.
Yeah. You give people the script to
you tell people.
Yeah. What me like
do.
This.
And people don't understand that. People give too much of their power away when they don't realize that you actually own your power.
Yeah.
You can do anything. Like you were saying, try on a new shirt, buy a leather jacket.
Oh yeah.
Go to the fucking thrift store if you don't have the money for it's not about money. You know what I mean? You can buy the dopest leather jacket and wear a t-shirt, a V-neck or whatever, and you can feel like a fucking icon.
Yeah.
Just in that.
Dude, I love that you mentioned that because I don't think I've ever talked about that on this podcast, which is every Halloween, me and my buddies, we'd go thrift shopping.
Yeah.
And we had no idea what we were going to be. This is before I started doing Team Viagra. Because guys are going to be like, you do Team Viagra every year. That's before that. So we'd go thrift shopping.
Right.
We'd find the dopest shit.
Oh my God.
Like jackets, cool shoes, like old golf clubs. Like, amazing. The shit you can find.
That is also a really good way to try out new shit
Yeah.
to see if it's going to work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then when I went to Burning Man, that's all I did was thrift shopping.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun. You know,
Look,
wearing a costume is fun.
That is such a great idea, don't you think? Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to go to Armani
Right.
to get a brand new suit, or you don't have to go to John Barbados to get like the dopest leather jacket or Prada. You know what I mean? You can go try different things out and see, like you were saying, see, how does this fit? How does this feel? How does that, you know?
And those vintage looks, especially now with like the Gen Z fashion,
Oh,
which
totally.
it's like looking homeless is the way to go. So
There's just no excuse anymore because the shittier you look, like the cooler you are.
yeah,
So there's really no excuse anymore for anyone to not be killing it out there.
there really is.
Right?
I mean, you can wear a fucking trash bag and if you rock it right,
Yes.
the right haircut.
Yes, with the right, imagine the dirtiest, fucking nastiest flannel you've ever seen with a dope fade. And all of a sudden you are that bitch.
Oh my God. I feel like we have to wrap on that.
All right.
That's so good.
You are that bitch. You are that bitch. Period.
So, oh man. I mean, I'd love to go forever. We should do a round two.
We
But
definitely
where can people find you?
find me on Instagram.
Here, let me pull up your
Okay.
IG.
Yeah, it's
There we go.
cfulton.hair. And if you have hair questions or you have, you know, anything, like, let me know. I'd be down always.
Yeah, people can DM you and amazing.
1,000%.
That's awesome. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. This was great. This is really
This
fun.
has been my favorite episode of 2024.
Oh,
Big time.
okay. Wait, wasn't this the first episode of 2024? Fuck.
It's gonna be the best one.
All right. All right. Well, we started off big.
We started off strong. So, you know, guys, get your hair done right.
Get your hair done right. Take a risk. Go out.
Be that bitch.
Take a risk and be that bitch. All right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Later, boys.
I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you're a regular listener and you're digging our content, do me a favor, leave us a 5-star review. It's how other people learn about the show and how we can spread the word. If you don't feel like it's worthy of 5 stars, just go ahead, don't leave any review at all. And I want to let you know that we've opened up a few slots in our exclusive community. We're accepting applications to join our select group of men and experience the radical power of accountability, step up your game, cross everything off your sexual bucket list, and become a beast at accomplishing all of your goals. To learn more and apply, go to innerconfidence.com/community.